Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of the Short, Pale, and Handsome podcast. I'm your boy, Loy Lee. Today is Tuesday, October 15th. Happy Tuesday, Columbus Day. Today is the first day of Native Americans being Indian. That's the day we celebrate, right? We also celebrate the fact that men don't ask for directions. We're going to tell you where we are even if we're lost. We're going to roll up like Christopher Columbus. Old Chris said, hey, we're going to India. Showed up in America and was like, hey, you guys are now Indians. And they're like, this is not India. He goes, that's fine. But was it 300, 400 years later, we're still calling them Indians, right? At least out there in Cleveland, and here we're calling them Redskins. So whatever. Happy Columbus Day. I am exhausted. I'm in my jams right now. I ain't doing shit today because last night I drove all the way home from Kennebunk, Maine. I drove all night so I could be home to podcast in the morning. I drove all night. I don't know. Is that even a song? It might be. I want to say it's like Celine Dion or something, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe you could tell me. But I drove all the way home so my wife could be at work tomorrow. We spent the weekend up in New England, and I went to go see my mom. How's your ma? If you were to ask me how's my mom, I'd be like, hey, she's actually pretty good. I just saw her, and she's looking fabulous. We were up there in Maine. I had a gig up there. You know, this is what I tell comedians, especially like, you know, where we're all kind of trying to figure out how to make money. And then we go bumfuck nowhere, 10 hours away, do a comedy show for 47 shekels and don't know how that's going to work. But if you invest in yourself, that is, that is a good way to start. You know, you're going to take losses. You get paid a couple $100, $100. You get paid like $100, right? You're like, hey, I'll do a half hour, 45 minutes. And they're like, great. If you can't sell tickets, we'll give you $100. Or we'll give you a percentage of the door, but you can't sell tickets. So here's a solid, clean, new Benjamin. You go enjoy that. And if you don't know, to drive from Washington, D.C. to Boston is going to cost you, if you're going to drive from D.C. to Maine, it's going to set you back like $60 one way, not including gas. That's just tolls. Like driving through New York, I don't even want to look at it. Don't even want to look at how much I spent in tolls alone this past weekend because we drove up on Friday after my show. I had a great show. I'm going to get in trouble for the I'm going to get in trouble podcast. I did it by myself. Eddie Lyles had to do like actual real work, apparently. He has a real job. I don't know how I feel about that, but he did it. He wasn't there, so it was me. And then I had a bunch of great comics show up. Hetty, Sandberg from out here, Thomas Dykes, Quentin Hardy showed up, Terrence G before he leaves. So we had a bunch of good comics come through, Mike B and me, and it was funny because it was just people who knew me. I sold 20-something tickets of just people that I'm intimately connected to. Just friends and their friends showed up, which made me feel good. Made me feel like, wow, people really do want to show up and show me support. You know, not my dad, but friends. And they're like, no, seriously, whenever you have a comedy show, please let me know. And I figure since I was running the show, I might as well just invite people, and they showed up. So thank you very much. We appreciate that. It was like one of the first times I've actually done, I'm getting better at it, but it's like one of the first times I've actually done an all-Asian show. I've done a few in my past, but it was it's always kind of nerve-wracking because it's one of those things where it just doesn't happen often, where the whole audience is Asian. Literally, the whole audience was Asian. So, I got to do material that I don't normally get to do. I get to do what we call relatable shit. And it worked. So made me feel good, right? Made me feel like I actually have different sets, more jokes than what I normally do on a daily basis. I'm always trying to do new jokes. I'm always trying to do new things. But it actually feels good that you go, oh, I can actually jump into a different vein of jokes and comedy that I don't necessarily get to do on a daily basis because maybe I'm just one-dimensional and I can't get some of these jokes to be funny when I have to explain it, right? Isn't that one of the first things that comedy is like? If you have to explain the joke, it's probably not funny. Yeah, well, there's some things about just being Asian American that non-Asian Americans won't necessarily get out of the out of the gate, and then you have to explain it. And I just haven't been able to make the explanation of these jokes funny. So it was good. I got to be able to talk shit about people from the Asian perspective. We don't normally get to do that. So hooray, hooray. So good show. Close friends showed up, and then I came home. I tried to sleep because I knew I was going to have to drive to Maine that night because I wanted to be there. I wanted to be in Boston in the morning and then go do a couple errands and then drive up to go see my mom. Every year my mom gets like a little family get together. I see some aunts, see some uncles. I see my sisters. I get to see my brother. I get to see nieces and nephews. Nieces and nephews, people, I get to see them, and it allows me to see, like, growth. It allows me to go, oh, I see. We're going to see this little baby grow into be, like, a full-size adult, and it's like the wonders of life. It makes me want to have a kid, kind of, sort of, but not really. Most of the kids are pretty well-behaved. And I don't know how you get from, like, having a baby that cries, all you got to do is feed it and change its diaper, to a kid that actually behaves himself. I don't know what that jump is. So, maybe I shouldn't have kids. Like, you'll just figure it out. I don't think that's a really good gamble. I came home. I came home, like, pretty early, like 9:30, like maybe 10 o'clock, 10:30. And I was like, oh, great. I'll probably leave around 2. If I leave at 2 a.m., we'll get to Boston around 10 a.m., and then we'll be in Maine before noon. So try to lay down, try to get some sleep. And normally I can just, as long as you can lay me horizontal, I will pass the fuck out 2 minutes. And I was like, I got 3 hours or so. Let me just shut my eyes. Didn't happen. Didn't happen at all. Laid there, didn't do anything. Just laid there for like 2.5 hours, and then got up, woke the wife up, threw everything in the car, drove up. 10 hours. Right up there, no problem. No problem. Just fucking get in the car, drive, all right? Got to Boston, and, I hadn't slept in a long time, so I hadn't slept since that morning, so I drove all the way through the night, and we got to, like, a rest stop, and I was like, hey, can you drive? I just need, like, 30 minutes. Drive like 30 minutes. We're maybe 45 minutes outside the city. I just need to drive just 30 minutes. She goes, no problem. So I crash out. She's driving. I wake up on the dot 30 minutes. And we're driving down the Mass Pike where we're getting like into the city. And then my wife goes, I'm so excited. I've never driven in Boston before. I've never driven in Boston before. And I'm kind of like wiping the sleep out of my eye going, oh, I did not plan this out well. Because if you don't know, Boston's a little hectic to drive through. It's not really that fun. Luckily, it was still early on a Saturday morning, so traffic wasn't too crazy. But it gets a little hectic. Like, the roads kind of don't make sense. Fortunately, that Google Maps actually is pretty good when it comes to driving around Boston. It's very difficult using Google Maps driving around here in D.C. because you'll come up to a stop and there'll be like 17 options for you and 17 left turn options. You come to the intersection like, hey, turn leftish, not like left. Not like 90 degrees left, not like 45 degrees left, like 117 degrees left. take a take a parallelogram on the left-hand side and a quarter mile. So, I'm waking up. I was like, I'm so excited. I've never driven in Boston before. And I'm kind of like, oh, well, fucking let go and let God, I guess, right? But she was fine. We ended up having to go to like a Chinese bakery, pick up some things. And then she's like, is Mike's Pastries open right now? And she said it in a way that like I know that she looked beforehand, before asking, because I feel like she already knew the answer. She's like, is Mike's Pastries open right now? And I was like, and if you don't know, Mike's Pastries is like the go-to touristy spot for like cannolis and all Italian pastries. You go in there and it is a clusterfuck shit show of a smorgasbord of Italian pastries, everything. There's like 37 different flavors of cannoli. There's things that I can't pronounce, cookies, croissants, and just the whole nine. And I was like, yeah, if it's open, do you want to go? Do you want to go if it's open? And she was like, I mean, if it's on the way. And she knows it's on the way. She knows where it is. She's been there. We're getting to the point where I know she knows where shit is. Or I know she knows she can look it up and have like a good idea of where shit is on the map. Right? Can we go if it's open? Like, first of all, it's open and it's on the way. So, yes, that's fine. But it was adorable. She was like a small child. She was like a child that she was afraid, like, for me to say no. So I spent like $20 Chinese pastries. It's like 2 boxes. It's expensive than what I used to be used to. Used to be able to get like the egg custards for, I don't know, 50 cents a piece. Now they're like $1 a piece. But my nephew, he loves these egg custards. My mom loves these coconut mochi balls. I like the deep fried red bean balls. There's a bunch of stuff that you just got to go, well, even though Boston's only like an hour and a half away from where my mom lives, it's like a delicacy to just be able to get some Chinese pastries and go home. And I feel like a goddamn hero. I feel like I am a warrior hunter of a tribe, and I came home with the meal. I came home with I don't know. What the fuck do hunters? With a deer. That's what it is. With a hog. I came home and I was bringing in victory. So that's why I do it. And yeah, sure, it's a little out of the way. I could probably get there faster, but got to go through the city. Go through the city, see it's still there. Hey, it kind of looks like what I remember, but it doesn't. It's gentrified. It feels safe. So, go to Boston, go to Mike's Pastries, and my wife's like, you want to go in? I was like, no, just buy it. Here's like $20. Just buy whatever you want. And you can have whatever you like. She comes with a box, bunch of cannolis. We drive up, and we're hanging out. My mom gets rents like a house big enough for all of us to stay. It's on the water. Out there in Kennebunk, so we're hanging out there, and my sister's husbands. Wait, that sounds weird. My sisters and their husbands. That's how you say it, Loy. My one sister doesn't have multiple husbands. My sister and their husbands. We just out there drinking. One of my sister's husband is an Irishman, straight from Ireland. And he will drink you under the table twice. I don't know how you can get drunk under the table and then drunk under another table, but he could do it. And I'm no spring chicken. I'm that guy where I just drink in sprints. I train like track and field, and my specialty in track and field of drinking is the 100-meter sprint. Let me just knock it out. Let's get it fast start, quick ending, go home. That's all I do. But one of my sister's husband, he is a marathon, an ultra marathon. He's running the Moab 5,000. I don't know how many miles the Moab, but he's out there and he could drink. He can outdrink you in any portion. You could wake up from a blackout. He'll still outdrink you starting from that point. Like, you could literally reset the clock and he'll still outdrink you every single time. And then my other sister's husband, he lives up there. He lives in Maine. And man, there's something about Maine that I just didn't understand. And maybe it's a new thing. Maybe it's a thing that I just overlooked. I hated my time there, so I just don't. I overlook a lot of the things. But man, the longer I am away from New England, the more I feel like a tourist there. And the more I feel like a tourist, the more I feel like, hey, I'm looking at a lot of these things for the first time. I'm seeing a lot of the nuances of this place as not a place of trauma, not a place of bad history for me, but I'm seeing it as, as I would if I had just been there for the first time. Maybe it's the comic, the comedian in me, where I'm like, hey, what's the deal with your town? What's the deal with whatever's going on in your place? Maybe I'm looking at it more like that. But I'll tell you, people in Maine, they love their craftsmanship. And you say, did you say craftsmanship? No, I said they love their craftsmanship. Like their beer, there's a billion breweries out there. Breweries. There's hundreds of them. Because I'm talking and my sister's husband who lives up there, I think he's got like a working relationship with all of them. Because he knows them off the top. I was like, hey, I gotta go buy beer. I'm going to go buy beer for me and Tunon when we go for our podcast, which probably won't be this week. It'll probably be next week. I'm booked. But I want to buy some New England breweries beer. I'm out here. Let me go visit some. And I was like, which one do you recommend? And then he goes, well, there's this, and then there's that one, and then this one's cool, but this one has a really good 37 minutes later, I'm like, you named 1,000 breweries. Breweries? I was hoping he'd be like, yeah, there's a one thing. And he's like, no, I brought some so we could drink it. So we drank a bunch, and then as I was leaving for the week, coming home, I was like, hey, you're not going to finish all this, right? I can have this? He was like, yeah, it's all you. I go, bet. That means I don't have to go to a single goddamn brewery. Just take the shit that you bought. And, he's buying good shit. He loves the craftsmanship. He can talk to all of the points of all of the beers and all of the breweries that these beers come from. Like, they love that shit. Like, they love the craftsman, the detail, the nuance. Listen, I'm not trying to be a sommelier. The guy with the fucking thing at the restaurant that suggests wines. I don't want to be that guy for beer, right? But this guy could. He could talk to you like, the tones, the tannins, the flavors, the aftertaste. I was like, is it good? Yes, give it to me. I'll drink it. Tunon, my buddy, who we do Bros and Brews, Dudes and Brews, something like that. Brews, Tunes, and Bros. I don't know. But he goes, yeah, there's like these tones and these tones. And he's actually got me into drinking IPAs. I didn't like IPAs before, but he's gotten me steadily down the direction of drinking IPAs. And I've gained weight since. But that is neither here nor there. They just love that shit, right? They love the craftsmanship. They love the process. They got time. When you're buried in snow 6 months out of the year, you got fucking time. You got time to, he smoked a bunch of pork, right? He smoked a bunch of shit. Meat in a smoker, right? I wish I could explain this shit. Pulled pork. We brought home 5 pounds of pulled pork. He steamed it 17 hours. And when you got time, when you're covered in snow 6 months out of the year, you're like, 17 hours is nothing. Fuck it. Let's just throw it in there. Let's sauce it up. Let's salt it down. Let's spank it. Let's get it in a thing and put it in and we'll just wait. And he's got this timer and it fucking beeps and he goes in and does something and checks the coal and monitors it, goes to sleep, wakes up, monitors it. Delicious. Fucking amazing. It's worth every minute that he invested in it because I didn't invest a single minute but eating it. But it was amazing. Go 17 hours. This tastes like way more than 19 hours of work. But no, they like the process. They like to do the thing and make it the best they possibly can. And that is a trait that I don't possess. I kind of want to go with the world being a pass or fail. Did it pass? Did it fail? Good. But they are on some 57 shades of like acceptable, 57 shades of mastership. And I applaud that. I just don't have the patience or the time. I'm out here making the best podcast I can for you guys, but I'm not editing it. I'm just out here putting it down on wax. Shout out to people in Maine. Shout out to my brothers-in-laws. The brother who can smoke pork and drink beer. This motherfucker can drink beer. Okay? He downed like quantities of beer, of high alcohol percentage beer, and smiled. I'm out here feeling like a goddamn child. Do you know what it's like to be in fourth place on a 3-man race? That's what it felt like. Because even when I woke up the next morning, I feel like I lost more. I feel like I was not even honorably mentioned in this foot race of drinking. And, you know, I'm on vacation, so I got to see some aunts, got to see some uncles, got to see my sisters and my nieces and nephews, and I had a show. I had a show at Empire Comedy Club in Portland. Shout out to everybody there. Great staff, fun little venue. It seats about 80. We had a packed house. Unfortunately, it was filled with like 90% of the people that I knew intimately. Like, I know and have a working relationship with basically the whole crowd. And I've never been in that situation. I've been in a situation where people know me. I've been in situations where, like, I'm doing fundraisers, and I know the fundraisers. I know, like, the football team, whatever. But this was like, my sister came back to the house and was like, hey, can we go to the comedy show tonight? And then my aunt was like, hey, there's a comedy show. What are you talking about? And then my other aunt was like, well, what are you talking about? And then it became this downhill thing where, I ended up being in a room full of family. Like, I felt like I was performing at a family reunion. You know, and see, this is like how broken of a person I am. I wanted to I didn't tell anybody because to me it's just like kind of like work. You know, you just had let me just scoot out of the house for a couple hours and I'll come back and it'll be fine and no one will know the difference, right? To everybody it was like, oh, Loy and his wife, they just kind of ran out. They came back, okay, you know, leave around 7, be back around 11, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No one will notice, right? We're all half drunk anyways. Half drunk or old, people going to bed, trying to take a nap. And then everyone was like, well, why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you tell us there was a comedy show? We'd go. We'll go. You want us to go? And I don't care. I'm not like, no, don't go. But I was like, yeah, I mean, I didn't say anything because to me, it's just work, right? Just go in there, do the job, come home. Not all comedy's for everybody. That's what I've come to the conclusion of. Like, everyone knows in my family that that's what I do. And maybe some of them are listening right now. I don't know. But I will say that to me, it's just work. I booked some shows while I was up there so I could get paid. So therefore, I can pay my fucking toll bill, the Easy Pass bill to make this vacation affordable, if you will. So, it was very, very strange to have, like, my brother, my sister, my brother, my sister and her husband, and then my other sister's husband, my aunts, as well as people I worked with back in the day, people I went to high school with back in the day. And I look out, and the first thing I look out, I see my uncle and my aunt that I hadn't seen in like 30 years. Shit was like, wow. Look at you coming out all the way this way. And it was like in Portland, Maine. And they're from like outside of Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So they drove like an hour and a half. My buddy who I was the best man at his wedding, he showed up. And so I'm looking on the stage, right? I'm looking on the stage, and like the whole front section in front of me, right, is everybody I know. I know every single person in like the floor area. And then the first person I don't know is like in the back. It's like in the back row, and it's just like 15 people I don't know that have never heard of me, that don't know me intimately. They are in the back. And I literally feel like I was talking. I was like, hey, Loy, you're doing comedy. You tell jokes, right? Show your aunts and uncles. Go up there. Go do your thing. Go on. Show them. You want to be funny all the time? Go up there, be funny. That's what I felt like at a family reunion, at a family function. Like, it's a funeral, Mom. I don't think this is the appropriate place to tell jokes. But it was very interesting. And I had a fun time. You know, I was contracted to do 45 minutes, not a big deal. But then when I'm out there, I'm kind of like, oh, well, here's the thing about comedy, people. Where I am in my comedy career is like, I kind of have to lie a little bit. Not a little bit. Things happen, right? The things that I talk about happen, but sometimes I slide some of the facts around. You know, you kind of put things just to streamline the joke, right? You can't just go, well, you don't need to add extra people to a story. You just kind of chunk all of the things into as little amount of characters as possible. That's why when you hear a lot of jokes, it's like one person, the comedian talking to another person, or the comedian talking to two people. When in actuality, it might have been like 5 people there. And you just kind of chunk all of it and streamline the conversation to 1 or 2 people to make the joke work. And I don't want to say I don't do a decent amount of it, but I do enough where I have to like think about it. So I'm on stage and I'm thinking about, okay, that doesn't work, but throw that joke out. Here's this joke. Okay, let's change up the words. This is a little clunky. That's fine. Because I don't want someone to be like, I don't want my aunt to be like, nope, that's not how that happened. Nope, that's your other uncle. I was there. I don't know. So it was fine, but it forced me to do different things. And then on top of that, I do a decent amount of crowd work. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. I'm trying to create a new experience for everybody. And, you know, going out, like, hey, who's married? It's like, oh, it's my uncle. Oh, it's my aunt. Oh, it's my friend. Oh, it's my sister. Fuck. How many people? Okay, who's... Okay, you don't count. You. And they're like, you know, you've got kids? Great. And I'm looking at like, did we go to... Fuck, we went to high school. You don't count. Somebody who doesn't know me, make some noise. Somebody who doesn't know me, that doesn't know me personally, who's got kids, make some noise. It was just interesting. And it's one of those things where I feel like as a comedian, you learn skill sets, right? Your skill set's like a tool, and then you hone this tool, and then you put it on the wall, and you may never, ever, ever, ever have to use this tool again. You never have to use this skill set again. And I feel like right now I'm building this wall of different skills, different tips, tricks, parlor tricks. You know, I'm adding these little sleight of hands, and I may never use them, but I know, oh, I've got it, I've done it, it's good, let me put it on the wall. This is one of those times where I'm like, I don't know whenever I'm going to have a 90% my family gathered together to do a comedy show unexpectedly, impromptu. So let me just, there's that. Did that. Put it on the wall. I only assumed when I have that many family members gathered in my honor, I'm probably going to be dead. So that skill set, not necessary. Not necessary at all. That was a little morbid. I am talking to the wife about how my last days will be. This is getting morbid. Anyways, I'll get to the funny part. I told her I don't care what you do with me, right? But before you do whatever it is that you can afford or want to do, whatever will make you happy, because at the end of the day, you're the one that will be surviving me. Worst case, best case scenario. Do whatever you want to do. But before you do that, I want to have like a Boston Irish wake. I want you to put me on a pool table and go to an Irish pub, buy out the bar, find a pool table, put me on it, put a drink in my hand, let everybody drink, and I don't know. If you want to do bagpipes, if that's in the budget, bagpipes. If you want Danny Boy sung, whatever makes you happy, that is what's important. I would like that. Don't break the budget, but whatever you want to do after that, that's fine. That's fine, right? Danny Boy, the pipes are calling. And then what we like to do, what my mom likes to do, is there's a fundraiser at Federal Jack's every Columbus Day. We've been there 2 or 3 times already, and it's like a lobster bake, right? We went there and we brought a shit ton of lobster. We brought 4 lobsters home. Shit was dope, bro. I forget how much I enjoy lobster. Now, like, the further I am from living in New England, the more I enjoy lobster. And my wife absolutely adores it. So we went to the grocery store, bought a bunch of lobster, and then we went to this lobster bake, and we bought a bunch of lobster. My mom was like, hey, you like lobster? Here, go buy, take a bunch home. So we took like 4 lobsters home. We ate like 6 there. And now I'll be able to cook with some lobster. But I drove all night last night to be here with you. I drove all night to get to you. So yeah, that was interesting. I did have a fear that my dad was gonna show up to the show. Not like so much a fear, but it was kind of like I don't know. I gotta sit down and think that through. I don't know why I was having like crazy feelings about it, but I was just kind of like, my dad. What if my dad shows up? Fuck. Like, do I need to talk to him? I don't know. I don't know. At the end of the show, though, I will say that it was great to be able to shake hands and talk to everybody and see everybody, give people hugs, and just thank them for coming out. And normally I do that at any show that I'm in, shake hands, give people high fives, but it actually, like, to see that it actually meant something for a lot of the people to show up and like, oh, they were in town, they went out, got like a babysitter, and then they just, they were looking forward to it. So to be able to put on a good show, I thought was very important. I watched the tapes. It was a little clunky. I think, like any comic, you should tell, like, every comic, hey, record your set, video, audio, all of it. And look at it. And I looked at it on the way home. When I drove all night, I got to watch it. And I was like, yeah, it's clunky. And now I know, like, where I've got holes in the game. And I know where I need to get better. I think what I'm going to do is, and here's a tip, maybe write all of your bits down and then, like, put them in a particular order and then kind of stick to that order. I've been playing around so much where I kind of don't remember where one joke ends and the other one joke begins, because I play games up there when I'm doing, like, shorter sets, like 10, 15-minute sets. I just kind of, like, chop things up. And, like, wouldn't it be funny if I just started this joke in the middle? Wouldn't it be funny if I told this joke more or less backwards? And that's the games I've been playing with myself a lot lately. So when I'm actually having to do an actual 45-minute set, I start to forget, like, exactly, like, how all of the little things work, and, like, how the joke works and all the bits and parts and pieces. So I think I need to, like, take a step back and write all the bits down and visually look at it and see if there's, like, a better way. I just felt it was just a little on the clunky side. If you don't do 45 minutes a lot, if you do just a bunch of 10s and 5s, 10s, 15s, maybe an occasional 20, 45 is kind of like, oh, there's a different set of pacing. There's a different set of orders got to be different. You got to start somewhere and you got to finish somewhere, and you got to kind of like connect the points. And I think that is like one of the biggest things, like as an actual headliner, that I need to improve upon is like getting a 45 minutes to an hour of like an overarching story. Like this is where we start and there is where we finish, and all of it sort of just makes sense. So that is what I'm working on today, and I got some shows tonight. I got some shows going forward. But I appreciate you guys listening. I'm gonna get up out of here. I've taken up way more than the time than I was expecting. But I do appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for everybody that came out that's listening. I appreciate you guys. I do. I'm just sort of broken on the inside, and I don't know how to take gratitude. I don't know how to convey it or how to accept any kind of sort of appreciation. So I do apologize. I'm the broken one. I do appreciate it, and I would appreciate it if you like this, if you shared this, and you subscribed, whether you are listening to it on podcast, Apple Podcast, Google Play Podcast, Spotify, whatever it is that you're listening, please rate it, like it, share it, subscribe. Thank you very much. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Loy Lee Comedy, across all the boards. I really do appreciate it. I do feel that through you guys, and especially after this week, I'm getting better at being a human being with, the lack. I'm trying to not suppress all of my human emotions. So for that, I do thank you, and I do appreciate you guys. So thank you very, very much. Follow me. I said that. So if you're listening to this on podcast, we do have a video version of this on YouTube. Loy Lee Comedy. Also, if you are watching this on YouTube, please, if you want to just hear the audio portion, it's exactly the same stuff. I don't add it. I don't edit it. It's exactly the same. I lack the patience to do that stuff. So if you're like, hey, I like this, but I want to see it, there's a YouTube version of this. You're like, hey, I want to see your pretty fucking face, right? There's a YouTube version of this, youtube.com/loyleecomedy. But if you're on this and you're like, hey, your face, pretty cool, but I'd rather just hear the shit you have to say. I don't want you looking me dead into my soul via the internet. You can find this anywhere podcasts are found. So thank you very much. Feel free to shoot me an email, loyleecomedy@gmail.com, loyleecomedy.com. Loy Lee Comedy across the board. We'll get to that. Big weekend coming up, and I'll tell you guys all about this next week. And then this week we're not doing a Bros Brews with Tune on Vu. We're probably gonna do it next week. But I brought home like a shit ton of beer, all from like my cousin, my sister's husband, and then I did go to Shipyard Brewing, because that's what I enjoy. So we got a bunch of beers. We're going to talk about it. I'm excited. Thank you very much. I love you guys very, very, very mucho. Okay, bye-bye.